Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thanks for having
This
us.
is Ari and Joseph. Please welcome them with a warm Chicago welcome.
I get chills even still watching it.
Do you still get
Yeah.
excited? I know, it is
Crazy.
It's amazing, and just Emily's intro was so fantastic. Yeah. I'm not going to do the traditional, tell me about yourself. Tell me about how you got here. I want to do a little different spin on the opening question, if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
Cool.
So in our opening song of Hamilton, we learn about everything that happened to Alexander Hamilton leading up to his arrival to America. If you were to have an opening song that told us about everything that it took for you to arrive at Hamilton,
That's a really hard question.
Like a song that already exists?
No, like what would be included?
You have to start rapping now. That's
Oh man.
We just want to know like what you did before you got here to this moment.
Sure. So my dad was in the military, and we moved around a bunch. And I was never the kid that was like, wanting to be in the spotlight. Didn't sing ever, didn't dance. My sister was a dancer, but like I would like go watch her classes, but never really had a desire to do it. When we started moving around, it was really hard for me, and I didn't know how to meet people. I was super introverted. I decided to audition for like my 6th grade like choir show. They were doing the Jungle Book. I was like, well, I can meet people super fast. I'll just try it. And that's literally how it started. I mean, it was just because I was just so thankful to have friends that were like me. Mm-hmm. I mean, I just stuck with it. And then it was time when I graduated high school, and it was time to decide, what college I was going to go to or what I wanted to do. And it was like, well, I might as well just keep doing this. And that's really how I fell into it. I mean, I didn't want to do this at all. It was never, not that I didn't want to do it, it just wasn't even on my radar.
Yeah. And then what kind of roles or monumental things happened along the way before Hamilton?
I did a lot of cool projects, but the thing that really kind of started things was doing Lin's first show in the Heights. I did the first national tour. I played Usnavi, and that's how I kind of got to know Lin and Tommy Kail, our director, and Alex were the same exact team as Hamilton. Andy choreographed in the Heights. So that's kind of what opened a lot of the doors. I mean, before that, it was a hustle. I mean, I did a lot of cool things. I did the original cast of Rock of Ages and Bombay
You were in
Dreams.
the original?
In LA.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
You guys are learning.
Yeah. So, but really, Lin changed my life. Absolutely, 100%. Yeah.
That's awesome. How about you, Ari? What's your opening song?
Yeah. How does a... I don't know how to finish it. So I think part of the huge thing is my parents, where they come from. My dad is an immigrant from Bangladesh, and my mom grew up in the slums, that's not the right word, but of San Jose, and then they created this life for me that was incredible. And so I look a lot to my parents. I'm an only child, see the struggles that they had, and they really instilled in me that you must be able to love what you do every single day. So my dad grew up from Bangladesh, was the first of his family to come over to the United States, came for the school visa, got his master's, and became an engineer. My mom went back to get her law degree when she was 40 years old, because that's something that she had always been passionate about. And so my mom is an attorney, my dad's an engineer, and they birthed this kid who was like, music! And they're like, what do we do with this? And so actually one of the biggest things for me is they instilled in me that I must love what I do, but I also came from a very South Asian household where I, didn't really do theater in school. I was academics all the way. I was a biology major at UCLA for 2 years before I switched and realized what I really wanted to do. And so that was also a really struggle for me is believing in myself, because I like the stability that comes with being a bio major. There's no stability unless you're going to be a doctor, and that's 7 years, and who wants to do that? So I think that was a huge struggle for me, is finally really believing in myself. And so this was kind of, I put it out into the universe the last year that I was going to be pursuing this because I was a voice teacher. I taught coding to under-resourced kids. Like I was like doing many different types of jobs, and I was sick of it. And then I made a very whimsical decision to go to New York for a few months during this year, because I was like, well, this is the last year before I get a full-time job. And this is the full-time job I got.
It's amazing.
So yeah, and then like milestones in it. I was on American Idol when I was 16, which was the best and worst experience of my life. One thing that I did really gain from that was getting a thick skin. I cried on national television, and then they replayed it, and I was like, and I still wanted to do music after that. I'm like, okay, that means that I really want this. I got 2 years of college paid for at UCLA by being top 10 at Miss America when I was after freshman year of college. So there were like some huge things that I accomplished, which is awesome, but my biggest goal was to have a job, to make money off of doing what I wanted and be like comfortable. And so at age 25, this is the first time that I got that, which is awesome. I mean, like, yeah, what's bigger than Hamilton? Like,
And the role you play in Hamilton, too. Will you guys tell everybody about who you play in the show?
I play Hamilton. I wasn't this guy. I'm the alternate, so I play Hamilton on Sundays. So there's two of us. There's Miguel Cervantes, and then I play Hamilton on Sundays.
And I play Eliza Schuyler, who then becomes Eliza Hamilton. And I think...
Tickled.
That's really delightful.
That's hilarious. It's just so funny because no one knows Eliza.
They,
you know,
well,
I mean,
now
before
they
the
do.
show.
Now they do.
No, now they do. Yeah. But like, also you need to see the show to know who she is. And so I think that's also the biggest things. And they're like, oh, who do you play? And I'm like, oh, Eliza Schuyler. And they're like, Hamilton's wife. And they're like, oh, now we know. But I think that was the coolest thing too, is I joke and I say that like I needed to have booked the show in order to see the show. Because in my audition with Thomas Kail, I was like, have you seen the show? And I'm like, no, dude, I've been trying every single day to get a lotto ticket. Like, it's not gonna happen. And so then I finally booked it, and then I finally saw the show. But it was weird because the first time I saw the show, I knew I was gonna be playing Eliza. And I saw Philippa Sue, who's incredible, but more so than just the performer, like the character. Like, she is a badass hero, especially of the 18th century. And so being able to see that was like really intimidating, but also like such an honor to Lin from the very beginning knew that he wanted to end the show with Eliza. And spoiler alert. And I think like that is just the coolest thing because they're shedding light on women.
Yeah. I actually have a question I was going to wait until much later to ask, but that's a perfect segue.
Women empowerment always will come up.
Yeah, Emily and I actually have had conversations about the lyrics of the show, and as fans do. And one thing that we talked about was the fact that when you meet Angelica, she says, I'm the oldest and the wittiest and the gossip of New York Cityest, and it would have been such a lob to say she was the prettiest. It fits right in. But like Lin made a conscious decision to focus on the minds, the ambition, and the accomplishment of the women in the show. And so I was going to ask you, and like, how did you prepare for this character differently, or how did you think about the impact that this character would have on women and girls and boys and men who would see the show?
I mean, it's history. That's the coolest part. It's like, this is not fictitious. Like, he's pulling from real life. And the fact that we are shedding light on real women.
Making them human.
Yeah.
It's
Of
cool.
these powerful women are here now and were there in the 18th century. So I think that that's cool. It's like, we're always powerful, but it's like whether or not the world is going to see that. And so we're still 76 cents to the dollar, so we're still going to be fighting and pushing in order to make sure that we are above equal in order to get that equilibrium.
It's a very powerful portrayal of women, and done in a way that like stories about that time of our country doesn't typically highlight.
Exactly.
So, okay, a more lighthearted question. We'll start with you, Joseph. If you could play any other character in the show, who would you pick?
Is it male or female?
It can be either.
Have you not thought about this?
I'm pretty busy.
No one's ever asked you this question before?
I would love to take a crack at Burr, for sure. And my original offer was actually to do both. But they ended up needing a king more. So I actually do cover the king. I went on for the first time last week. Incredible! Oh, talk about facing your fears, you guys. But Burr, now that I'm settled into Hamilton, I feel like Burr would be a really fun character to play. I mean, they're both a part of me, I think. Sometimes I'm a Hamilton, sometimes I'm a Burr. I think that's why people relate to the show. I think sometimes you're like, oh, I'm gonna wait for it, and other times you're like, screw that, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And it'd be exciting to play both. Yeah.
That's interesting. We had a conversation about this because I left the show so fired up and being like, I need to be more like Hamilton. And then I talked to somebody and he said, well, I left the show being like, if everybody were like Hamilton, this world would be a disaster.
Sure.
Like, we need Burrs.
Sure.
Burrs are like dependable.
Yeah.
Is there a character you like?
Well, I was gonna say Burr too, but now it's not as cool of an answer. So, I mean, I think the best song is Wait For It. I love Wait For It. And I love just like being in the surround and being a part of that magic. Yeah, that's my answer.
So you kind of answered this question already, Joseph, but Ari, do you relate to one of the characters more personally? Like, are you more Hamilton or more Burr?
Can I answer that?
Of
No,
me?
yeah.
I want to hear.
You're definitely a Hamilton.
I think, yeah, I think.
100%.
But I think I'm an Eliza.
Sure.
Let's talk about the women. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
I would love, especially the impact of the original cast and the original cast album. Like, a lot of people walk into the show knowing the tone and like how things are sang and portrayed. I'd love to hear how you guys have each made the characters your own. And Ari, honestly, one of the things I noticed when I saw the Chicago production is when you sing Burn, you are pissed. And I like that.
Yeah.
And I think Philippa was a little more hurt in her portrayal in Burn, and I liked like the way, I think you kind of made that your own. So are there any other conscious ways you guys have made the characters your own?
Well, I think it came from the creative team. The
Yeah.
creative team from the very beginning was like, we're not hiring you to be a replication of anyone. If I ever tried to be Lin-Manuel, I would fail. I mean, he's amazing. He's his own thing.
Yeah.
So I think they were very clear that they wanted us to bring whatever colors we had into the roles. And we were just talking to John Gilmore, our press agent, who's just in San Francisco. And he saw their new production. He was just talking about how it's the same show but so different. You know, nobody's trying to duplicate anything, which I think is really special. I just think through the process, it was just in rehearsals. It was just, you know, how can we make this?
We don't even have the opportunity to duplicate it. You know what I mean? We like saw it one time with the OBC and saw it a few times. Like, there's no real way for us to even try to do that. And beyond us being ourselves and being cast to be ourselves, every show is different. So like one time I can do something with Joseph, and that fuels me to be really upset during Burn. Or sometimes I'll be bawling during It's Quiet Uptown, or I'll be really pissed off and there's anger. So it's like every day and what happens during our life like affects it.
And it's super cool to work on a show where Lin has just put it all there. Like, we just have to open our mouths. Like, the material works, you know? I think they did a good job of casting, you know, the right essence and whatever the character needs, but like the words, I mean, the work is all done. It's like the hardest and easiest job I've ever done, you know? 'Cause physically it's exhausting, but like, it's all there for you every night.
That's interesting you brought up physically, it's exhausting. We're a big fan of fun facts here at Google, if you can't tell. And somebody also from Chicago, Nate Silvers, he did this really interesting analysis of the show. And so he did an analysis and found that Hamilton has 20,520 words and averages 144 words per minute. But here's the fun fact. It clocks twice as many words per minute as its closest competitor, which is Spring Awakening.
Oh. I didn't know that.
So I would love to hear what it takes to train for it. Like, how do you train for that? And then also, how do you build the endurance to do it so many nights a week, or so many days a week?
How did I train for it? You know, it's like, it's repetition. And having the passion to work hard enough for it, I think. I wanted this so bad. The job before this, I was on a show called If Then. I was on the tour, and I was a swing, and I had a lot of time off stage, you know. And so I started auditioning for Hamilton, and I just started like using my time off stage to learn the material. And then once I booked Hamilton, I had like 3 months, you know, of of If Then before I started at Hamilton, and every day I would just spend those 2 hours that I was at the theater, just like I would write all my lyrics down 7 times. I don't know why I do that, but like for my whole life, that's how I memorize. I write everything down 7 times. I read
Not 8 or 6.
7. I read somewhere that if you write something down 7 times, it's like in your memory somewhere. And so I don't know if it's true, but it worked. And so like I have notebooks of just I've written everything in Hamilton down 7 times, and like that's how I get so comfortable with the material that I can so that I can get free with it. That's kind of my process. I'm not really technical. I didn't go to school for acting. I've always just kind of done what feels right. But for me to get to that place, I need to know it so well that I can just let everything go. So that's kind of my process.
How about you, Ari?
I don't rap in the show, so I have a very different experience with the material. I think it's very, I don't know how to answer this question. How to preparing for it? I mean, I think the main thing is kind of, we already touched about it a little bit. It was like I was really intimidated by the character and like continuing to portray such a legend and like also introducing this individual. So studying the book, like knowing the Ron Chernow book. No, I think most people came in off book when we started the first day of rehearsal. So really make sure it was like in your blood and in your body.
You don't have time to think about the lyrics.
No, so you're just working when you're in rehearsal.
Yeah.
So since you've written down everything from the show 7 times, what's your favorite lyric in the show?
It changes. There are things that I think one of my favorite raps is the "We Know" when they confront him, and it's just so fast and so intricate, and just kind of like spills out of your mouth. But it changes. Like sometimes I'm like really into Hurricane. Sometimes always Yorktown. Yorktown is always super fun. There's so many great songs. It's really hard to answer.
You talked about being, kind of in the scene. Is there a favorite scene of yours in the show, whether it's your scene or one that you're in the choreography of?
I love watching Room Where It Happens because that, to me, is like the transformation of Burr, and then we get to be a part of it and comment on it in our own way as Eliza or as whomever you're playing. So like that's really cool, is to like be in behind the scenes but continuing to be in character. Something that I am a part of physically downstairs, I love That Would Be Enough, because every day it changes in terms of like the development of our love for each other, or not love for each other. Every day it changes.
So I think about these characters, it's hard not to think about the show in today's political climate.
Of course.
And if you guys were to be your character in today's political climate, Hamilton, Eliza, how do you think they would behave? What would their involvement be if you were to put them in today's world?
Well, I'm really inspired by this show, and I think the only way that I'm able to deal with what the hell is going on is to work towards it. And I think that Chicago, like, we've had the luxury to figure out what our voices are as individuals inspired by our characters, and Chicago is so receptive of it. So just earlier this week, me and Miguel's wife, Kelly Cervantes, produced a benefit concert donating to the ACLU with members of Hamilton, with the lead of Aladdin, and with local artists, Malcolm London, and Jamila Woods, which was incredible, and we ended up raising, I don't know the final number yet, so I can't say it. But bringing art, individuals of art, we had artists like J.C. Rivera, who had a gallery donating, like all these local Chicagoans coming together to fight for one cause, was breathtaking and remarkable, and something I will remember for the rest of my life. So I think that's the coolest part, is being able to do the show and continuing that type of legacy outside of the show.
I think Hamilton would be horrified about this political climate. I'm not sure he does fit in.
I was thinking about Hamilton and Twitter, what that would be like. Because he just ran his mouth, and like then he would be able to publicly run his mouth.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think it'd be a bad thing.
In this world.
Well, some people are successful with panning.
So So what about if you could, what about if you guys could sit down to dinner with your character? What would you like to ask them about that maybe could help you, you've had a curiosity about as you're portraying them? What would they think or do? What would you ask them about?
I think why I love playing Hamilton so much is just his quiet confidence. I mean, not so quiet all the time, but just the confidence, like never questioning himself, for better or for worse. He hurts a lot of people in the process of it all, but just that confidence, the ability to just speak his mind and not apologize for it. I want to know where he gets that from. And just the energy, the nonstop energy, which is the same thing that really fascinates me about Lin. I mean, I think that's why Lin really, really connected with Hamilton's stories. I think they share a lot of the same DNA, and that's something I don't naturally connect with, but it's thrilling to pretend. Yeah, so that would be my conversation.
How about you, Ari?
Questioning, everything that happened to her and continuing to find the strength to continue his legacy. I'm not sure I would have been able to do that. And I think that, especially during that time, women had to deal with a lot of stuff, negative stuff thrown their way. And so how she continued to take the high road and realize the importance of his story and of their story. And also, I think then beyond realize, and I think actually in question, what's your favorite line in the show, is she says, will they tell our story? And at the very end is, will they tell my story? And I make sure to exaggerate the my to people hear that how she's really transitioned and changed, because I think that's the final turning point, and then the show's over. But so trying to figure out where she found the strength to be able to realize that all the differences they had, the story was bigger than both of them.
And the power of forgiveness,
Sure.
I could
just unbelievable.
And I lied. I do have a favorite line. It's when Burr says at the end of the show, after he kills Hamilton, spoiler alert.
Well, that's history.
I was too blind to see the world was wide enough for both Hamilton and me. And I think that's the foundation of the show. That's, no matter what you believe in, the world is wide enough.
And that's a great moment for now, a reminder for now as well.
I think that's why people really resonate with the story at this particular time.
I want to give folks a chance to line up and ask some questions. We will have a few minutes for audience questions, and if that clock is right, we have 12 minutes for audience questions. And let me see what else I have here for you guys. Do you guys know, so you were there during Tech in Chicago, the theater's a lot bigger here than it is in New York. What adjustments did they make to the actual production to accommodate the larger audience size, the larger stage?
Didn't do anything.
We actually we have a smaller stage than Broadway.
Oh, you have a smaller stage,
Yeah.
but a bigger theater.
It's just the way the private bank is, it's higher. There are more tiers. So really
if
everyone's
you're
as
looking
close,
up
but
to the
you're
final,
just high.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
So you don't look up to the last row.
So more seats, but just as intimate, I think.
Yeah, but I mean, a little bit of staging differences because the stage is a little bit smaller, so our numbers are a little bit different than Broadway.
Yeah.
But
Trying
nothing.
to get the same show.
Yeah.
They didn't really change anything.
Yeah, awesome. Go ahead.
Hi. So, I think to some extent, Hamilton is just lightning in a bottle. But if you had to pick another historical time period or historical personality to sort of do a similar take on with hip hop and modern vision of history, what other time period or personality would you pick?
Oh, that's a good question. Can we dial into Lin on this?
Can we phone a friend?
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
I don't know. I mean, not now. I think we'd have to wait a couple years, but I think a musical about Obama would be amazing.
And Michelle.
Yes, for sure.
Lin?
We have some questions from Googlers here too. So
Oh.
I thought I had paid attention in school, but I was surprised at some of the U.S. history tidbits throughout Hamilton. What was the most interesting history fact that you guys learned?
I don't remember Hamilton in school either, and I think that's what's...
Most people think he was a president.
I think that's what's incredible also, is that it's getting kids interested in history.
Yeah.
And it's bringing this black and white, whatever, off the page and coloring it. And
I remember like 5 years ago, people were talking about they wanted to switch Alexander Hamilton off the $10 bill to Harriet Tubman, right?
Yeah.
That's what we talked
And
about.
Hamilton, the show, changed that.
Changed
Yes.
that.
That's
And now we're like,
crazy.
oh, and I think actually the coolest part, a little bit about him, is that fact that like he accomplished so much, but they don't revere him as being the best person in the world. Like they talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly, and that really what happens when you're trying to do bigger things than yourself, like self, that it's not always going to be a perfect story.
Yeah. My husband won't spend $10 bills. He like hangs on to them now.
Well, when we sign them, I'm like, but isn't that defacing money? Like, are you sure that you want us to sign your $10 bill?
Yeah. He saved the $10, the show saved Hamilton on the $10 bill.
Cool.
Go ahead, we have a couple more audience
Hi,
questions.
tell us a little bit about your experiences on Wednesday afternoons with Hamilton.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
So we do, it's called EduHam, and they work with Title I schools. In Chicago alone, 20,000 kids, sophomores in Chicago, will see the show for $10 each. A year. And every company does it, so it'll be 20,000 in New York, 20,000 in San Francisco. They'll do it on tour as well. The kids study Hamilton for like 3 months before seeing the show. They put together their performances to do for us in the morning, and then that afternoon we perform the show for them. And it's 2,000 of these excited, incredible kids. I mean, the future, who would never otherwise be able to see the show. It's
And that's what's important. I mean, the show's really expensive to see. And
like,
Googlers are like,
really expensive and difficult to get a ticket, like I've experienced as well. So I think that those are the people that need to be seeing the show. And I'm really grateful that we have the opportunity because of the people that are also sitting right here.
And it's something our
Make it
producers
happen.
like really care about. I mean, it was all they're doing. So, and we also have the lottery, which they've doubled. I mean, we do. I think we have
40.
yeah, 44, which is more than
more?
most shows for $10
$10
a ticket.
And you get to see the spit off of the actors. And feel it, probably.
So that's actually a really great segue. We have a very exciting announcement. Google is going to be sponsoring an EduHam on April 26th. So yeah, it's very exciting. I think 22 CPS schools will be in attendance on that day, about 22 CPS schools. You guys already heard the program itself is really phenomenal. The students right now are studying Alexander Hamilton and planning their performances. They'll actually face off in their schools and then decide who gets to go on stage that day, which is super awesome. They'll do a Q&A with the cast, and then they'll get to stay that afternoon and see the show. And the exciting part of the announcement is that the Hamilton folks here in the front row have offered Googlers the opportunity to get any no-show tickets on that day. So if there are any empty seats, there's a lottery that you can enter at go/shy-hamilton, and you will find out that morning if you get a seat or not in the afternoon matinee. So very special thanks to Rob and our community relations team who's working with the Gilder Lehrman Foundation, thank you. I knew I was gonna mess that up, on this amazing program, and super excited to be a part of it.
Yeah, you guys mentioned how the show is exhausting. A 3-hour show, you perform 8 times in a week. You've already been doing it for months with no end in sight. How do you guys prevent yourselves from just going through the motions? How do you find energy in every single performance to sustain you for the whole entire week, month, etc.?
Coffee. So I'm going to be coming to Google and going to, what was his name again? Coffee
Carter.
Connor, and get those lattes every day.
Yes,
Those
Connor.
are so good.
They are so good.
I think one thing, in the very beginning, it was really difficult because this is my first time doing 8 shows a week. So that was hard to be able to figure out what's like my vocal regimen. But I think one thing that I've learned the most is because I haven't doing 8 shows a week, I'm very much a perfectionist, and every show needs to be so perfect, and that's the mentality that I've had. And I've had to let that go. I cracked last night, and I was telling Joseph, like 2 months ago, I was like, I would have come off stage crying, and that's what happened the first time that I cracked. And I was like, during Satisfied, I was like crying the entire time. And this time I was like, well, That's live theater. Gotta let it go.
It really is. And with this show, I mean, there's just so many words and there's so much to do. You're just, if I get through a show without messing up, I'm like, oh, it's coming. I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it's gonna happen. But it's been the biggest lesson. I think that if you asked anybody in the cast, they would tell you that just being able to just let go and not take it so seriously, take your job so seriously, but just have fun with it at the same time. That's so liberating.
It's more about the story than it is about vocal perfection or lyric perfection or any type of perfection. You want to feel the actors being together.
And that's how I think we get through is just staying present with each other. If I don't feel like I have enough energy, I just focus into Ari and then somehow I get it.
And I start crying and I'm like, what? The last time I performed, I was tearing up and that would be enough. And I had never experienced that would be enough that way. And that's the coolest opportunities, is to be able to experience and share a different story every night.
And the audience helps too. I mean, the audience is, you're tired and then you get out there and the audience is just crazy and gives you the energy that you need, which is really great.
Oh, we got little ones at the mic.
Hi, guys.
They're down there.
Hi, my name is Hamilton.
Hi, Anson.
And how do you get ready for the kiss?
That is amazing. Oh my God. So, okay, I'll tell a really funny story. During rehearsals, I was really nervous about the kiss because I didn't know when it was gonna come. When were we gonna start kissing? Because, and so I pulled our director aside and I was like, I'm not making a big deal about this, but when do we kiss? When is it actually gonna happen? And then Tommy completely embarrassed me and made a big deal about it. So just doing it, I guess. I don't know how to prepare. I have a huge crush on Joseph, so.
The kid's I don't think I got an answer.
Why do you think Alexander Hamilton was wearing his glasses on the duel he died?
Why is everyone looking at me? Why was he wearing his glasses? For me, and this is a conversation I've had with the director, did Hamilton go knowing that he was going to die? Did he think that Burr would pull out? I think that he meant serious business, but I think he was prepared for it to go in either direction. And which is why he wrote Eliza before leaving. And I think he hoped that it would turn out differently, but he believed in the legacy.
So why was he wearing his glasses? He was prepared.
He wanted to, he was prepared.
I think one of the best things about the show is not only do you learn about history that you might not have been taught in school, but you leave with questions that you have a hunger to explore more, and long conversations about did this really happen intentionally? Was it not intentional?
And you can Google it.
Yes. Thank you. Excellent.
One of my favorite things about Hamilton as a musical is how deep the lyrics are and how many layers they have. So they're inspired by so many things, they have double meanings. Do you guys have favorite segments of songs or lyrics where you've realized the deeper meaning or really love the reference that Lin is making?
I don't know if it's deeper meaning, but I love how many times that things are repeated and then they have a completely different context. So History Has Its Eyes on You is in the very beginning and then introduced in a very different scene, and it makes you think about it very differently. So that type of repetition is really beautiful, because a lot of times repetition is repetition, but it's really just placing it at a different location and then meaning something completely different. And I think the coolest thing also is that everybody takes away something very different by the exact same lyrics. So it's your personal experience that changes the meaning for you.
Were you guys big hip hop and rap fans before the show? Did the influence of that music inspire you as you
I mean, I
prepared?
didn't know that it was the 10 crack commandments, so I had to do research on that. So like in terms of knowing like all of the references, no, but I think it inspired my Spotify playlist is very different now.
How about you, Joseph?
Yeah, I mean, it just gave me a deeper appreciation for that whole world, the freestyle world, the rap world. I didn't necessarily listen to it on my own, but yeah, it's pretty incredible what they do and what Lin does.
Yeah.
And
G.
yeah, I mean, Heights was kind of my first intro into that whole world.
Yeah.
Yeah, it opened my eyes because I never really listened to it. Yeah.
We were lucky enough to have Jeremy McCarter here, who co-wrote the actual show book with Lin.
Yeah,
And
because he's a Chicagoan.
he is, yeah. He spoke right before the holidays, and it was very interesting to talk with him about like how he wanted this. They both wanted this book to be different than your typical like coffee table show book, and he didn't realize until sitting down with him like how deep all of the references went. So the annotations in that book are so fun to read on their own, and I have formed playlists just like you guys said. Oh, I should listen to these songs that are just in the annotations. We probably have time for 2 more questions. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi. Coincidentally, we're actually going to go see the show tonight.
Oh,
Any advice for a first-timer?
So are you like a real Hamill fan?
I'm about to be.
So you didn't listen to anything?
No. I am.
That's a choice.
I think it's cool. I think watching it, not really knowing, watching the show and then going back and listening to it is the way to do it. That's how I discovered the show. I saw it first and then got obsessed with the album.
It's just, then I would recommend seeing it again. No, but I mean, obviously the tickets are really expensive. But I mean, it's just like, there's so much information to absorb. You know, my parents have seen it 5 times, and every time that they see it, granted, like their daughter's in the show, but like there is like different things that they pick up on because the choreography is making a message, the lyrics are making a message, the actors are making.
There's a whole world going on upstairs on the second level.
And I am the. Tell them what my designated role that I have.
Oh, she is.
You can be a little bit more excited.
This is also self-appointed.
No, it was not. I am the surround dance captain.
Which means she's in charge of everybody else's choreography on the top level, in her mind.
Stephanie, our associate choreographer, appointed me as that. I don't get extra money for it. It is on my resume. So I challenge you to look up at the surround once in a while.
No, it's pretty incredible. I get to watch the show a lot because I'm not on all the time, and there are still things that I'm catching up on top. I mean, it's so specific, so thought out. So just try to take in what you can and
see it again.
Yeah.
and enjoy it.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
First of all, I want to thank you, Ari, for making my husband cry 3 times during the show. Just phenomenal.
I mean, those lyrics are just...
They're amazing. You guys are just top notch, and thank you for that. And I wonder what you tell to the children in the schools that you work with and what you would say to my children for how to get to the place that you are at. Because there's local theater, which is great, and then there's local teachers, but what's in that gap between those who kind of stay at the local theater and those who can get to where you are at, and what suggestions might you give for students who really want to?
Well, I think everybody's experience is completely different. So my advice is to not be so focused and narrow-minded and put your marbles up into a lot of different baskets and just really love everything that you're doing because you will be surprised. Before this show, I was working on my EP. I'm a songwriter, and so like that's where my mind was at completely. And then I just like, well, let me just try, just being open. So being open, but also like what's opportunity, like prepare, or what's the statement? Preparedness and luck is opportunity. So like making sure that you're prepared in everything that you love to do. I wish I could tell my 13-year-old self that like things are gonna be okay.
Totally. And to just like have fun and not take it so seriously, but work hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, I went through a really tough period where I was just like kind of empty, and somebody told me, have fun or quit. And like that really kind of like flipped a switch in me. It was like, if I don't love doing this, and if I'm not doing it for the right reasons, if I'm not willing to die trying, like do something else.
Yeah.
And I think if you have that kind of mentality where you're just doing it because you love it, and you continue the work, and you stay in class, I mean, the work never ends. You just got to be willing to.
You're gonna, and you're gonna find what you're passionate about. Like, I wanted to be better at piano, for example, but I never practiced. Whereas singing and acting, I would be in classes, or I would be picking up extra shifts so I could pay for my acting classes because I just loved it that much. And I think that's just really telling.
Other audience questions? So we already talked about this first one here. Oh, thank you. Can you scroll up just a teeny bit? Sorry. I saw, okay, there we go. Oh, Joseph,
This looked like
your
it was like
question
hand
went away.
activated.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. It's not. But
Sorry, I wish you guys could see this. It would be a lot more entertaining if you knew what we were doing.
Well, I think keep going.
Yeah, keep going. There's a question for Joseph. There you go.
Joseph Morales.
Who else, Joseph? Yeah, it's like yelling. It's shouting at you. Who would be an unsung historical figure who
Unsung?
Yeah, pun. I love puns and wordplay. Who deserves the Hamilton treatment in history? Well, we already said Obama.
I guess
He's not
maybe
really
Bernie.
unsung.
Just me?
Hashtag I'm with her.
We can really take this panel in a different direction now.
I mean, I would like to
this
see both of those musicals, actually.
This is my style.
I just imagine the Bernie musical.
You know that like really famous,
Another old white man.
that famous question about like who would play you in the movie/musical of your life? Who would play Bernie in the movie/musical of his life?
Oh, well, the guy who played him on SNL. Why am I forgetting his name?
Who played Bernie?
Oh, Larry David did actually. Yeah, everybody's like Larry David.
Larry David.
Okay, so yeah, you guys have had a couple Aaron Burrs come in and out of the show.
Joshua Henry.
Yeah,
is
Joshua.
incredible.
Amazing. He's incredible. He started the show with us, so we were in 6 weeks of rehearsal with Joshua Henry. So he feels still like a part of the Chicago family. But Wayne is incredible, and I'm a huge Wayne fan. Like everybody in this front row knows how obsessed with Wayne I was before he came, and then he ended up being the coolest and awesome person and so talented, but also a very different take on Burr. And so that's why I'm like, all my friends are like, you have to see the difference because it really, every person that comes into any role really changes the feel and the mood of the show. So Daniel Breaker is coming in starting next week, and I'm so excited and enthused to be able to see how the show once again transforms.
Yeah.
How do they do tech in that situation? Like, is he already rehearsing?
Yeah, I'm leaving from here to rehearsal with Daniel Breaker.
And then we all have a put-in on Friday.
And then he just picks up on
so we-
Tuesday.
Yeah, he's been rehearsing the past month or so.
Wow.
So he's been here, but just rehearsing on his own with our stage managers and choreographer.
That's fascinating. And it's like almost like you're getting on a moving train. Like,
Exactly, and then
Yeah.
they'll just throw him in and we go, yeah.
It's insane. And he's an incredible cook.
Oh.
I mean, like magic.
No. Follow him on Instagram.
Okay, how about one more question from the audience?
I can't get over there.
That's okay, I'll repeat it for the live stream.
So I was at the performance where Wayne did like 2 or 3 songs, and then something snapped in his ankle or something, and he had to stop. And then the understudy came on.
How incredible is that understudy?
That's what I was gonna ask. Was it
Yeah.
his first time performing that? 'Cause
No.
Not first, but
so-
he hadn't done it many times.
Well, and also to pick up he was on for another track. And
It
then
was
pick up.
seamless, just suddenly.
It was amazing.
Well, I didn't really know until I was on stage. and I was like, well, I mean, and that's live theater though too, right? I mean, it happens. And so you have to be able to be prepared and be ready all the time and also know and be prepared for that happening. Like even the other day, I was going on stage and one of our swings, Jean came to me, he's like, oh, I'm on for Man 6, like right before 10 Dual Commandments. I'm like, oh, okay, let's go. Like, you just have to be ready for that. But that means like this cast is so
Everyone's just so good.
freaking talented. It's insane. So, I mean, that takes brain power to be able to do that.
It's interesting. I think we're working in this like time where everybody's attention is so divided. Like you're always doing a number of things at one time, especially in jobs like ours where you're in front of a computer, you're in a video chat or whatever. But you guys truly have to be present while performing. Like you can't be really thinking about or doing anything else. How did those couple of hours compare, contrast to the rest of your day-to-day life?
It's a blessing.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, in preparing even just for the ACLU event, there was like a lot of stress right before. And I was like looking forward to the 3 hours where I know what's gonna happen and I know what I have to say and I know where I have to go. And that's all I have to think about.
You know you're gonna get what you need. And you don't know about that in your life. Yeah.
So that is a blessing. But for me, there are times where I do need to check out, especially during the second act. I have like a kind of a big break after that would be enough. No, after a room where it happens before one last time. So I can go down to my dressing room and I can check out a little bit because the next 30 minutes are just really emotionally exhausting and I have to be present in that moment, even backstage the entire time. So like, I need a little bit of time on social media or whatever in order to like prepare for that emotionally draining 30 minutes.
I don't even go back to my dressing room.
Like he doesn't have
once
enough
I
time.
leave.
Yeah.
Like once the show starts, I don't have a moment. When I'm not on stage, I'm changing. So it's like, I mean, really, it's over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then what do you guys do to recharge? In between shows, on days off?
Well, I've got a napping station. Not as glamorous as yours.
So Google
Mine's a pillow under my dressing room counter.
Rolling on the eyes. Yeah, and I think that we all, I mean, like, we didn't really have a break this week. We did the ACLU event on Monday, and then we're gonna be singing at Notre Dame in like 2 weeks. So those outside experiences is what refuels me. But then, you know what I mean, like, I just got a 55-inch TV, so like.
There's also some Netflix happening.
I mean, I am a TV junkie. Always find time.
Go ahead. This will be our last question, by the way, you guys, sorry.
Oh, so much pressure. Can you speak to what it means in history in the sense that, you know, the cast is made up entirely of minorities? You know, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that my last name is Schuyler and that my sisters have absolutely different ethnicities than mine and nobody cares and it's accepted and nobody questions it. That's not present in the entertainment world at all. I mean, like if you look at my resume, it's like Rodriguez, Gonzalez, Munoz, and I'm Bangladeshi. But so like, that's the first time where it's just like, it's a very color conscious casting and every little boy and little girl can see somebody that looks like them on stage. And that's the most beautiful part of this show. Thank you for asking that question. I can't believe you didn't even bring that up.
And it's about time, like enough. It's about time.
For sure.
I mean, yeah. So there are roles and stories that need to be told that need to have specific ethnicities, and no one else should be casted.
But those aren't the only stories we can tell. We can tell, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
but I mean, yeah, but any romance or all the rest of the things that you see in TV and movies and films, like they don't have to be of only one ethnicity. And I hope that this really just translates into the rest of the world for people like us.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a beautiful place to end.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for this magical hour, and thank you all for your great questions. And you've really just brought the show, the gift that keeps on giving, to our office today, and I thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. Oh.